So, okay, this is Dr. Jim Anderson from Anderson Podiatry Center. I'm here with Orrin and Mary, his wife, and he's been with us for quite a while. We have a history going back a ways, and wanted to share a story because it's kind of a journey he's going through here, and it has to do with his arthritic ankle joint. So, I think first of all, I want you to share with people watching what actually happened to your ankle. How far back and what you had an injury, just to explain that.
Doc, it was 1979, the winter of 1979. It's going to be 41 years ago this winter. I blew out my ankle, broke it in 5 places. Distal tibia had a break in it too. It was a compound fracture that didn't leave the skin, so
right.
but it was broke all up. The doc spent an hour and a half picking bone fragments out of the medial side of that ankle.
Wow.
3 pins, 2 screws, and 22 foot of surgical wire was what was in the bill. I hope the 22 foot of surgical wire is not still in there, Doc. But the last 8 years or so, I've really been having discomfort with that ankle. It locks up to where I can't even stand on it.
Right. And then you came in and saw me, was it about 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yep.
And we did stem cell for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And tell us about how that worked.
That first treatment I got, I left the office, and within 4 days I was helping a friend move his house across town.
Okay.
So the improvement on that one was pretty darn linear. Right straight up the hill.
Great. And it stayed away. Right?
Yeah, and it stayed away. But that time I had actually traumatized the ankle. I had sprained it, so I knew there was a factor in it why it hurt. Yeah, I had agitated.
Right.
This time I woke up in the middle of the night and it was swollen bigger than a softball,
right.
Okay. and I couldn't get out of bed. So I
this
came
was
to you
like
Doc.
about a month ago.
About a month ago, about 5 weeks ago,
5 weeks ago, and so he came back. So that was a 2-year period of time, pretty pain-free, right? Because
Absolutely. I was doing remote archaeology solo in the Rewas actually. 3 months after the procedure, walking, averaging 11 miles a day. My best was a little over 15 miles a day.
Oh, okay.
With a full pack.
With full pack in the high country.
Wow.
So I would say it was doing pretty darn good.
No, I wasn't with him. I wanted him to keep up. I couldn't keep up.
Okay. Now he's here, and now he's 4 weeks out. About 4 weeks out from stem cell injection, and this was a little bit different. Took a little bit longer, right?
A little bit slower.
Yeah, and you're probably how much better? 50, 60?
Over 60%.
Over 60%,
Somewhere
right.
67% range now.
But sometimes this will happen, folks. Everybody heals different, repairs differently, but kind of slowly starting out, and now it's kind of going up more exponential.
And really, just in the last week, guys, was the real improvement as far as no swelling and discomfort reduced, and mobility was increased too. Just really the last week.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I want to explain some things to you listening, because there's at Anderson Podiatry Center, sometimes we call ourselves Anderson Center for Regenerative Medicine, because we've been doing this for quite a long time, almost 10 years as of the date of this, which would have been probably about 2010 is when we started doing this. But understand that the end stage, the very last thing that he would ever do is a ankle replacement. Some doctors might even fuse the ankle joint, but his joint is that bad, and I had to emphasize that to him. That a lot of places that he would go right now, if he had pain, they'd say, "We need to take your ankle joint out." It's like live with it or put an implant in, because it's that bad. And you're like a poster child for this, because his ankle is really, really bad. But we talked about this. I really believe that we must give people the opportunity to at least try this. And he's a perfect example of why we don't like to prejudge this too much, because, well, his ankle was just so shot, and he's doing fantastic. So I'm just going to paint the pathway here. Let's say this works for another year. Let's say it works for 5 years, and it comes back again. Well, he could have another injection. He could keep doing that. But if it keeps coming back too much, the next step isn't a fusion, at least not here. We do something called joint denervation, what that means, and we talked about it for a bit of time with him. We come up here in the ankle, and above the joint area, there's 4 nerves. These 4 nerves take care of your ability to feel the pain. You're getting pain signals from these nerves down that are down in the foot, but up in this area of the leg, we actually, and there's a process that we go through to figure this out, but we take out usually just one nerve that seems to be the specific nerve that's sending messages to his brain about the arthritis in his ankle. And we've been doing that now for about 7 years, and we've had huge success at that. So rather than going to kind of the end point of an ankle replacement, the next step here at least would be, there gets to be a point where, hey, this stem cell stuff, it's kind of working, but it's not working as long. Then we go to what's called joint denervation. And we talked about that because he walks a lot at work. And usually we just put people in a removable cast, or they're walking within a few days, very quick recovery, and we've had huge success with it. So, and that's sort of the story. There's about 4 nerves that are, I mentioned this earlier, that are in the lower leg. We go up in the area here, we find the nerve, we actually cut the nerve, and we bury it in muscle so that it doesn't want to tend to regrow. And so I just want you to know those are all the things that we do before we do surgery or do replacement. So I hope that makes sense.
It does.
And
It does. Thanks
and
so
I'm
much.
trying to catch this midstream in his pathway, because that's the pathway. We just discussed it, and I thought it'd be appropriate to share that with people watching now, that that's a real common pathway that we look at here. And fortunately, we have very high success. It's very seldom that I have to refer somebody out for an ankle replacement, because I don't do them. But if it's appropriate, we will. But that's usually after the nerve surgery. So, all right. So anyway, hope that was helpful. And as we say on YouTube, we ask you to subscribe. I'm new to YouTube a little bit, so subscribe, please. If you have any questions or comments, we'd appreciate it. But if you've heard you need an ankle replacement, please stop and pause and consider and evaluate what I just talked about, because it's a nice other way to go. Go down the regenerative pathway and go down maybe the pathway of this nerve resection that we do for these joints. So, all right, thank you. You've been great.
Well, thanks, Doc.
Thank
And I
you.
love the matching masks. Okay.